In the last video, we were seeing the conditions for the central maxima and the first minima. We saw that the point O corresponds to central maxima. Why? Because all the wavelets, all the secondary wavelets, they travel the same optical path to reach the point O. So they reach the point O in phase. Therefore, the point O is of maximum intensity. Then we considered some other point P, which is at a distance y from P. At this point, when we calculated the path difference, it was found to be a sine theta equal to n lambda. Now, for the first, since this point corresponds to minima, this also we saw in the last class why the point P is of minimum intensity, because the wavelets from the two halves, they interfere destructively. That is, they interfere with the path difference of lambda by 2. So the point P is of minimum intensity, and the condition we saw is a sine theta equal to n lambda. But since this is the first minima, we substituted n equal to 1 and we got a sine theta equal to lambda. So this is the general condition for the path difference for a minima. N equal to 1, n equal to 2 corresponds to the first minima, second minima, etc. So how do you draw this diffraction pattern? So in this figure, since this is the central maxima, this is the central maxima which is the brightest. This is followed by a minima. This is again a minima. So again, you get a pattern. At this minima must be followed by a maxima. So the pattern will be like this. This is the minima. So this must be the maxima and so on. So the central maxima is the brightest. This is followed by a minima, then again a maxima, then minima, etc. Now we saw the condition for this minima. Next we have to see what is the condition for the next maxima. It is called as the secondary maxima. The point P corresponds to the first secondary minima. Then we are going to consider another point P dash. So at the point P dash, what do you get over here? Is it a maxima or a minima? From the figure it is obvious that you get a maxima. Then how is that you find out the condition? For this, again look at this figure. Now when you consider another angles, if you want to consider the maxima, we have to increase the angle of diffraction. First we saw that the wavelets, they travel straight, then they are diffracted at an angle theta. Now they are diffracted at an angle theta dash. So when they are diffracted at an angle theta dash, what happens to the path difference between the extreme wavelets? For theta, the path difference was lambda. Suppose if I increase the angle of diffraction to theta dash, what will be the path difference? Will it increase or whether it will decrease? It has to increase. The path difference between the extreme wavelets will increase. So let me have drawn this figure once again over here. We consider that the slit is divided into 12 equally spaced points. I consider a wavelet from 0 and a wavelet from 12. Now since the angle of diffraction has increased, this is the extra path difference that is travelled by a wavelet coming from the extreme points. And you see that it has to be greater than lambda. So it has to be greater than lambda. But can it be 2 lambda? No, because 2 lambda is the condition for a minima. So it has to be greater than lambda but less than 2 lambda. I repeat once again, we have to find out this point P dash is of maxima or minimum intensity. For that, we have increased the angle of diffraction to theta dash. Now, when you increase the angle to theta dash, you see that the path difference between the extreme wavelets also increases. It has to be greater than lambda, but it has to be less than 2 lambda because 2 lambda corresponds to the condition of second minima. So, what can be the possible path difference greater than lambda and less than 2 lambda? It can be 1.5 lambda. So let us consider the path difference between the extreme wavelets to be 1.5 lambda, or I'll mark it as 3 lambda by 2. It is the path difference between the extreme wavelets. Now, how will you find the condition for P dash? For this, we divide the slit into 3 equal parts. That is 0 to 4, 4 to 8 is the second one, and the third one is 8 to 12. Now, we divide the slit into 3 equal parts. If the path difference between 0 and 12 is 3 lambda by 2, what can be the path difference between this 0 and 8? It has to be lambda. Then what will be the path difference between 0 and 8 is lambda. What is the path difference between 0 and 4? It has to be lambda by 2. So, we have divided the slit into 3 equal parts. Now, you can see that if you consider the first 2 parts, the secondary wavelets from the first 2 parts interfere destructively. That is, if 0 and 8 superimposes, you get lambda. But if 0 and 4 interferes, you get the path difference to be lambda by 2. What happened? We have divided the slit into 3 equal parts. So, from the first 2 parts, if the secondary wavelets superimpose, we get a path difference of lambda by 2. That is, if 0 and 4 interfere, the path difference is lambda by 2. 1, 5, again the path difference is lambda by 2. 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 8. All this gives a path difference of lambda by 2. So, from the first 2 parts, when the secondary wavelets superimpose, we get the path difference to be lambda by 2, which corresponds to a minimum. Therefore, we expect a minimum at the point P dash. But we have the third part of the slit over here. The secondary wavelets from the third part of the slit, they interfere constructively to produce a maxima at the point P dash. But the intensity of this maxima is less than that of the central maxima. Why? Because only 1/3 of the slit contributes to the brightness. Now, let us see what is the condition for a secondary maxima. From this figure, if this angle is theta dash, this also has to be theta dash. So, this angle is theta dash, so this angle is theta dash. So, what is sine theta dash? Sine theta dash has to be Bn or Dn. Whatever it is, from this figure it is Dn. This is 90, so this must be the hypotenuse, which is the width of the slit, that is A, or sine theta dash is equal to 3 lambda by 2a. So, this is the condition for the path difference. You can also write this as A sine theta dash is equal to 3 by 2 lambda. So, this is the condition for the path difference for a maxima. You can see that if the path difference is in terms of odd integral multiples of lambda, in the case of interference you get a minima, but in the case of diffraction you get a maxima. So, this is the condition for the first maxima. So, what will be the condition for the nth maxima? The condition for the nth maxima will be A sine theta dash is equal to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2, where n is 1, 2, 3, etc. When n equal to 1, you get 3 by 2 lambda. When n equal to 2, you get 5 by 2 lambda. Which means that for the second maxima, you divide the slit into 5 equal parts. The secondary wavelets from the first 4 parts will interfere destructively, and the secondary wavelets from the 5th part of the slit alone contributes to brightness. The intensity goes on decreasing. Why? Because only 1/5 of the slit is contributing to the brightness. So, when you generalize, this is the condition for the maxima. This is the condition for the secondary maxima. Now, since theta, when you say that lambda is very much less compared to A, you can approximate sine theta dash to theta, and you get this expression as A into theta dash is equal to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2, or theta dash is equal to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2. The theta dash is the angle of diffraction for a maxima. Now you have to find out what will be the width of this central maxima. This is the central maxima. What can be the width of the central maxima? The width of the central maxima can be defined as the distance between the first secondary minima on either side of the central maxima. Let me draw this figure once again. This is the slit. AB is the slit. You get a screen over here, and this is the central maxima. So this angle is theta, this distance is A, and the distance between the slit and the screen is D. We are going to find out what is the width of the central maxima. What is the width of the central maxima? It is the distance between the first secondary minima on either side of the central maxima. So what is the condition for the first minima? You know that theta is equal to n lambda by a is the condition for the minima. Suppose if it is first minima, n is 1 and you get theta equal to lambda by a. Now we have considered this distance to be y. So here I take it as y. Also from this figure I can write theta is equal to y by d. Y by d. Since the angle theta is small, whether it is sin theta or tan theta, it is the same, and we are reducing it to theta. So theta will be y by d. When you equate these two equations, you get y by d is equal to lambda by a, which implies y equal to lambda d by a. This is the linear width of the central maxima. Now what was the entire linear width? It is 2y. So you mark it as beta dash is equal to 2y is equal to 2 lambda d by a. This is the width of the central maxima. So what can be the angular width? Angular width will be 2 theta. Linear width is 2y. Angular width will be 2 theta of the central maxima. This is the diffraction pattern. It's like this. One more thing in this diffraction pattern is that the central maxima is the brightest. The intensity of the secondary maxima goes on decreasing with the order of the maxima. The reason I told you, because for the first secondary maxima, 1/3 is contributing. For the second secondary maxima, 1/5 of the slit is contributing, and so on. And this is the diffraction pattern we get.